You are listening to the Outback Quarterback Daily. It's the first ever rookie recap. It's myself, Curtis DuBois, and joining me on the screen is Chris Hall. Now, Chris, you're our man for everything rookies, and that's why you're going to go through 4 studs, a dud, and a rookie rev-up today. You pumped?
I am absolutely pumped, Curtis. Like I mentioned, I'm here for the people. I want to improve everyone else's fantasy sleeper dynasty team, whatever you want to call it. So
Oh, yeah.
listen closely, and you'll be well on your way to a couple of championships.
It's it's purely altruistic, isn't it?
That's
You're just a
exactly
selfless
right.
man. Well, look, that's the formula. 4 studs and a dud. 4 guys that impressed us, rookies that impressed us for various reasons in week 1. 1 that didn't, or maybe 2 that didn't actually. And then we're going to have Chris Hall's rookie rev-up. Someone who you think, Hawley, is ready in just their second week in NFL to have a big game this week. So I'll start with a stud, and there's a few that I could have gone for, and I'll give them a couple of honourable mentions because their Houston fans will be wanting me to mention Kalen Bullock, who he was a third-round safety. He had a pick. He looked very good, just 20-odd snaps, and he was involved. He sits next to Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley, and all of a sudden that secondary is looking great. Or your boy, Holy, Dom Puny. Remember him? You just
He was good.
He was really good. He had a good start.
Commentators couldn't get enough of him.
I know, a random third-round guard that you picked up like 6 months ago.
Oh,
I
it
can't
wasn't
remember
random.
what we were doing, but you mentioned it.
Not random, mate. I did some good research on him.
Sorry, when you were tape dogging college guards on YouTube. Well, he had a good day, but that's not the guy I'm picking. I'm going with Jared Verse from the LA Rams because the big story for the Rams this year is that they're trying to cover for all-timer Aaron Donald, the defensive tackle, the best of all time, one of the best players ever to play the game. And they've got youngsters Kobe Turner and Byron Young, and then they drafted Jared Verse. And in his first game, just 23 pass rushing snaps. He had a sack, he had 2 hits, and he had 3 QB hurries. So that's a very good, very productive start for a guy who didn't play the whole game. So great debut for Jared Verse. Already things looking scary on the Rams side of the ball. Where are you going, Hawley? Who's your first start?
My first one, we're starting off slow. Not really fantasy football relevant, but a offensive lineman down in New Orleans, Talisi Fuaga, left tackle. He had a very, very solid start. Now, he led all rookies with a 94% pass block win rate in week 1. So it would be rude of me not to include him here. But the stat doesn't really take into consideration the fact that he played a lot of right tackle in college football, and now he's moved to left tackle, which doesn't probably sound like a lot, and I'm not a big fella. I've never played offensive. I've never played any position in the NFL, Kurt, let alone
You're bigger than me, and you
offense.
played a contact sport, so you're already up by 2.
Exactly, let alone offensive line. But I imagine no matter where you sit in the offensive line, there are very specific skills that you need to master. And for him to come straight into, they were playing against Carolina. We're not sure how much of a pass rush Carolina have, but either way, a 96% win rate or 94% win rate in your first game or first game as a starter is very, very impressive.
Yeah, and his versatility was one of the things coming out of college, that he could plug into a couple of different positions, and already they've adapted him, and already he's done well. It was a good week for the Saints. They were just winning everywhere, weren't they? I'm going to go for my second stud, Xavier Worthy. Now, it's an obvious one. We've talked about his performance already, but I need to put him in here because Doss didn't give him a vote in the 5-4-3-2-1, the Stubby Club Outback QB MVP, which I just think he had to be in there. He had 2 receptions and 1 rush, and with just that, he had 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I know one of them was due to blown coverage, but still, we were wondering, does this guy actually have the ability to play NFL, or is he just fast? And gee whiz, it couldn't have been a better start. He scored twice and just tore the Ravens apart. And it's not normally an easy defense to tear apart. So I think that's worthy. Hawley, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, sorry, that pun wasn't even intended. I just had that in my brain.
I didn't even pick up on it. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, probably last year, we were a little bit worried about their wide receiver room. And we thought, okay, they've got Kelsey, that's about it. They're going to rely on him a lot. He's getting old. And now all of a sudden, Rashee Rice has become one of the, I think he's going to become a top 10 receiver by the end of the year.
Yeah,
and it's chucking Xavier Worthy. Like, he's got that speed like Tyreek Hill has. If Paddy can turn him into what Tyreek Hill was at Kansas City, then all of a sudden Chiefs going on another bloody dynasty run.
I know, it looks unstoppable. And just as, like you said, Kelsey's starting to phase out too. And did you notice in the season opener, they split targets between Noah Gray and Travis Kelsey a lot more evenly than they have in the past? Normally, Gray only gets a look in once or twice a match, or a few targets when Kelsey's not playing, but Kelsey wasn't prominent and Gray was there just as much. So,
and we said that in the main show quite a bit, that Travis, his pre-season was interrupted following Taylor Swift around, and he's come back a little worse for wear.
Andy Reid lost trust in him all of a sudden. Who's your second stud?
All right, my second stud is none other than my boy Brian Thomas Jr. Now, he had 4 catches, 47 yards and a TD, which is a pretty solid stat line to start your career. The TD throw from Trevor was an absolute dime, by the way, Kurt, if you haven't seen that yet. But he is a genuine touchdown machine, as we mentioned in college, with 17, or led all of the FBS with receiving touchdowns in his final year of college. But what we don't see in the stats from the weekend is that he had a 41-yard touchdown pass from Trevor, basically in his arms. However, he was being tackled before he even got to the ball. So one, it was very impressive that he almost caught it, and two, it was a clear pass interference from the defender, which was called, and that ended up leading to a touchdown anyway.
So it probably ends up with 90-2 if the defender didn't give away a professional foul.
Exactly. If it was a fair fight, he probably ends up with 88 and 2 TDs in his debut. So unreal. I think we can see a lot more of that from Brian. It looks like Trevor trusts him already, and that's essentially 5 receptions, 90 yards, 2 TDs. Doesn't matter if it's your debut or not. That's just a genuine outing.
Yeah, correct. And we were really excited about Thomas all offseason. That was one of the picks we really liked, Jacksonville. So that's good to see that started well. Let's go to our dud, or my dud for the week, and we'll share this around. Next week you could do the dud. But Marvin Harrison we've spoken about, 1 reception for 4. I'm actually doing a 2-pack. I'm coupling him with Roma Dunze because between the two of them, 2 of the 3 highest wide receivers picked, and we thought they could make an instant impact. We're so excited about them. They had 6 targets together for 2 catches and 15 yards between them. I mean, that's a bad day by yourself, let alone 2 of you. And then you think, oh, well, it's only week 1, and maybe the quarterback play wasn't the best for Dunze and all those sorts of things. Yeah, well, Malik Neighbours, the guy that was picked between them, had Daniel Jones throwing him, who had a bad day, and he still ended up with, on his 7 targets, 6 catches for 55. So,
well, I guess Dunze's defense is that, Caleb only threw for, 94 yards, whatever it was, but there are a lot of other targets on that team, whereas Malik Neighbours is the one and only person in the whole of New York that can catch a football from Daniel Jones. And
that's very
like
true.
You said, we have to rely on Daniel being able to throw the ball within a couple of meters of Malik Neighbours as well, which at the moment seems a little.
I said 6 for 55. It was actually 5 for 66, so even better from Malik. But there you go. I mean, this is not about overreacting. It's just we'll see something from these guys soon. It just wasn't the week 1 that we wanted, because when a rookie goes out there that's highly touted, you just want to see them explode straight away and see exactly what they can do. But exactly. I'm sure they'll get there.
And the thing with rookies, Curtis, is that we talk them up so much in the off-season that we expect them to come out and play like veterans, but they're not. These guys, this is their first ever game in the league. They're playing against cornerbacks and safeties that have probably played, some of them might have played 8 years of NFL, so they know exactly what's happening. But
it's a great point. Because we talk about them for so long too, we feel like they've been here for ages.
Yeah, mate. Some of them might be 20 years old. They're kids still, so we got to give a little bit of slack.
Then us 34-year-old losers are sitting in Australia dissecting their performance.
And us guys analysing offensive linemen.
Hey, mate, Dom Pooney, you picked it, and you can tattoo that across your reputation for the rest of your life, because that was a great one. Now, Rookie Rev-Up. Yeah, you got a guy who you think is going to kill it this week, and he's got the chance to do it in week 2 of his career. Who is it?
All right, my Rookie Rev-Up, Kurt. It's Bucky Irving. It's Bucky's backfield, okay?
Bucky's backfield.
Tampa Bay. He's taking over in Tampa Bay. Rashad White last year, he had a really good year. He had yards, he had touchdowns, he had carries, but his yards per carry was only 3.6. Okay, so that's low for a running back. Bucky came in on the weekend. First game, 6.9 yards per carry off 9 carries. Now, he's not the receiving back that Rashad White is, so I think Rashad has that under wraps for the year. But I think Bucky can make some he can really make some inroads in that running back room in terms of yards per carry, and the running back of the running backs. I think maybe not this week or next week, but within probably the month, we'll see that running back room is really split quite evenly, 50-50. And I'm hoping so, because Bucky, what he did in college was quite impressive. And whilst Rashad White had, like we mentioned, had a great year last year, his yards per carry were real low. And if Bucky Irving gets going and Rashad White gets going, the reception-wise, that Tampa Bay offense might be actually quite scary.
So not only was the Bucs and Lions already a blockbuster that we wanted to see, now we've got to watch for Bucky's backfield. So there's even more reason to tune in. That is the rookie recap for week 1. We will be back tomorrow. And, of course, next week, Chris Hall will be back for week 2 of the rookie recap. Thank you, Hawley.
No worries, guys. See you.